All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining the Preventing and Identifying Phishing Scams webinar. Just a quick note that everyone is on mute, so if you do have a question, please utilize the questions chat box, and I will relay your questions to Jason or answer them myself if they're easy enough. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jason. He is our senior underwriter for our Cyber Protection Package program. So Jason, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Jillian. Again, I want to thank you all for giving us a few minutes of your time today. This is a pretty exciting topic, if you ask me, but it's the goal of today is to hopefully help you all to better identify and hopefully prevent falling victim of phishing scams. Phishing scams are a rapidly escalating cyber liability risk. It's one that is something that's commonly talked about, but I don't think it's well understood. And the goal today is to help you to protect yourselves and hopefully your clients as well. So briefly, there we go. I just want to hit the quick agenda. The goal is to help, basically discuss what is phishing exactly, and I want to answer the question: does this actually really happen? Help you to identify whether or not it is covered by insurance. Help you to prevent the phishing scams, and then make you aware of some of the various available resources to both yourself and your clients to either respond to an event or to protect yourself from falling further victim to this loss. So what is phishing? What phishing really is, it's the modern variant of the age-old confidence man scheme. A confidence man simply exploits the human's natural inclination to trust, and then you utilize that inclination to trust to obtain a benefit of their own. What the phishing basically its goal is to exploit the modern variant anyhow is to exploit the humans or our computer users' trust on technology and network systems to obtain the information. So phishing is the practice of sending emails, messages, phone calls, or other communications to trick individuals into revealing information or to make payments. And the truth is that the human user is really the weakest link in a computer system or a network security system. It's far easier to get the user to hand over the keys or access codes or access information than it is to actually have to do the hard work of to hack or compromise a network security software package. Other names for this exposure that you'll see in articles or news reports might be business email compromises. That's actually what the FBI calls it. Confidence scams, or deceptive funds transfer fraud. And that is actually the term that we utilize to define the specific coverage element that responds to this loss in our cyber liability package. So does this really happen? The truth is that phishing is a rapidly growing risk. The FBI has reported that phishing scams reported to the FBI are up 270% since 2015. And it should be noted that this report was actually dated April 8, 2016, so a growth of 270% over the course of a single year in reported losses. I've seen anecdotal reports of values in excess of $3 billion has been actually lost to phishing scams as a result of unauthorized funds transfer. Some fun little anecdotes. The Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report of 2016 found that 30% of all phishing emails are opened soon after receipt. The median time of user to open the malicious email is a mere minute and 40 seconds, showing the tremendous service ratio that we're getting out of our technology service providers. And this information has been reported by internal testing groups. So they'll actually send out phishing tests to their computer users to test whether or not the employees are aware of the potential risk. Are they going to respond to the phishing email, or are they going to forward the email to IT resources? This information is obtained from that study. A professional liability MGU, they reported seeing up to 3 losses a week of phishing-related losses where the client had lost money as a result of a fraudulent email or a phishing email. And it should be noted that this is it's not covered by errors and omissions insurance. The National Association of Realtors, they issued an urgent alert regarding email scams. They have seen enough reports and chatter on this loss that they have felt it necessary to escalate it to the point of an urgent alert to all realtors to be aware of and advise their clients on this potential peril. And for fun, I went out to try and find the largest incidence of loss that I had seen related to a phishing scam. And I found that a former Lehman Brothers executive was tricked out of almost $2 million, it was $1.938 million, on a down payment on a $20 million apartment. He received an email from his realtor/lawyer, since they're in New York, directing him to pay his down payment for the purchase of the apartments to a specific payment address. The lawyer's email had been compromised, and they knew the specific contact information. They knew the details of the purchase, so that when the Lehman Brothers executive received that email, he immediately authorized payment of $1.938 million. They discovered the error in conversation the next day, and they were able to claw back all but $200,000, but $200,000 were lost. It was gone, stolen from a mere deceptive email. So, getting caught in a phishing scam. This isn't the Nigerian prince scams of yore. These are targeted actions, and I bolded, underlined, and italicized this term because it is truly the key word to remember. Phishing scams are targeted activities brought against you, the average individual. And why would let's say a realtor or an insurance agent be targeted specifically? The truth is they have high reliance on electronic communications. Most every realtor or insurance agent or a CFO of a manufacturing company communicates almost exclusively via electronic device. They also have we're mobile professionals now, so we have high reliance on mobile devices. So looking at a small screen, my vision is terrible. Looking at a small screen is difficult. You're not going to identify specific nuances of it that might be noticeable, like a spoofed email address or something. And they also have a frequent focus where large amounts of funds are transferred, notably real estate agents or construction or contracting. So again, they're targeting specific individuals, specific markets, and specific targets to obtain where the money is. Some new fun little phishing scam tactics that we've seen pop up just this past week. There is the "Can you hear me now" element, which is you'll be targeted with a phone call. It's kind of a robocall. They'll ask you, "Can you hear me?" And the targeted person will respond with yes. And the goal is to obtain the voice authentication for a dual mode authentication. So if they are trying to trick your bank into transferring funds, they will play this captured yes, so you can fall victim of the scam. Or even lifting fingerprints off of peace sign selfies. Again, that's just a mechanism to deceive dual mode authentication to further make you a victim. So how could you possibly get caught in a phishing scam? Most everybody I've spoken to have always said, I'm far too wise to catch this. I'm never going to click a link that I don't trust. I've seen these emails since I was 18. They aren't going to trick me. The truth is that pretty much everybody is going to fall victim to one of these scams. There's a variety of ways that this can occur. Viruses are very easy to deliver through emails. Again, targeted being the key word. So if you are a regular participant in specific news groups on Facebook or LinkedIn, they can identify specific news that you may be interested in seeing. So when they send you a breaking news item related to a specific industry article, but it actually is a compromised video link or news link, you can be tricked into essentially handing over a keylogger virus. Same thing with compromised documents or spreadsheets. So if you're a business and you conduct business with a specific insurance company, it would be very easy to send a falsified document to you saying that you need, please update, we're requesting all our brokers to submit updated information on their name, address, and broker licenses. 9 times out of 10 folks will fill out that application and giving the information that they need. Another question I like to ask folks is, who utilized free Wi-Fi just this past week? Pretty much everybody utilizes Wi-Fi at coffee shops, airports, hotels, conventions. What do you actually know about the actual provider of that Wi-Fi? It's very easy to set up a compromised Wi-Fi hotspot utilizing, instead of Starbucks, Starbucks One or something. And when you log on to that unsecured hotspot, you are essentially granting your username, password, and everything that you type to that provider of that compromise. The common password peril. It's been found that up to 75% of all computer users, and I myself have fallen into this category, where you utilize a common password across all different services. And where this comes into value is, think Yahoo. The Yahoo compromise wasn't, what it was the username and passwords. So it's very easy to set up a search macro that trolls across multiple different usernames. So it's going to recognize common usernames from Yahoo to LinkedIn to Fitbit or whatever other web service, and then they can run a cross search utilizing those existing passwords that they have. And they can even create a smart enough macro to add a 1 to it. So if your password was capital T, capital truck, then it would then add a 1 to the end of the truck. So it would be truck 1, truck 2 to kind of crack through those password changes. It's pretty easy to be caught in a phishing scam. It's kind of what the thing. So specific targeting areas for phishing scams. There's other parties involved in the scam. So if you answered a phone call, you being the customer service focused professional that you are, someone were to call you and ask, hey, who's your contact at XYZ title agency? I need to get a hold of them for, I'm trying to follow up on a document that I mailed to them last week and I just can't get a hold of them. Just the simple reveal of a person that you work with at a specific title agency could be the key that they need to finally execute a phishing or a spear phishing email. Paper records have significant value. If you've got this past transaction information, the taking of that data can know that, okay, person A works with person B on a routine basis. That's a relationship that can be exploited. Office staff, if you're traveling on business and you post a photo of a successful business meeting that you had in Chicago, somebody who is observing you from the outside would identify that you are out of the office and then reach out to your executive assistant to ask for specific information or just a quick, hey, I need to know about which hotel he's in or whatnot to, again, execute the phishing scam. Family members, you might be the best computer user out there, but your kids are not. I'm a pretty savvy computer user and a former /reformed network security administrator, but my personal desktop down in the basement is a disaster. My kids click every single link, and they have installed pretty much every single software package that pops up on YouTube. And as a result, my computer is just riddled with spyware and everything else that you could possibly imagine. And then, not to go political, but even John Podesta, a highly experienced political operative whose entire career and life has been spent looking over his shoulder, assuming that he is going to be tricked, deceived, or otherwise utilized in a mechanism to obtain the information which he held. He was tricked into passing over his username and password via that targeted spear phishing activity, which basically history will then go from there. So anybody can fall victim to it. That's kind of in summary to what I'm saying there. Here's just it. We've seen enough phishing scams and claims come in that there's a stunning pattern of the simplicity. It's shocking how common this event occurs. So it was able to put out basically just a short little step-by-step example of how a phishing scam may occur to a specific real estate agent. So the scammer obtains access to the real estate agent's email contacts and calendar. Again, this could be via that a compromised email, a virus, or just simply tricking you into handing over that information. The scammer will identify key opportunities. They will identify a date when the real estate agent might have 4 or 5 closings, or it's end of month closing, or it's a cash closing for an investment purchase. Those are going to be key opportunities that he's going to zero in on to execute his scam upon. The scammer will either register a similar email address. If, for example, put there jason.bcher@gmail.com versus jasonbucher@gmail.com. 99% of all computer users are not going to identify that small variance of the email address. Further, if they're looking on a phone, they're even less likely to see it because their vision is going to be affected. Or, like I said, they may actually send a message from the compromised email address. I mean, they don't even have to falsify the sending. It is authentic. It's coming from the targeted user's compromised email. The scammer will send the email to the client, alerting them of a new title agency bank account or banking relationship. It will, of course, be sent with a high importance. Say, I'm so sorry for the late notice. I was just given a call this morning. They changed their bank, and I need you to wire your down payment or your deposit funds to X. And then it'll also give a heightened level of authenticity, saying, I'm on appointments all afternoon. I'll call you at 3 o'clock to verify or to follow. And then the truth is, the funds aren't discovered until a closing appointment, which is often too late. You know, the funds have already been transferred. They have since been transferred to another bank or overseas, and it's gone. It's simple, it's remarkably efficient, and it's going to be happening a lot more because it's where the money is. So, is this covered by insurance? Unfortunately, this is the tough part. So, E&O policy, no. In our experience, we have seen that errors and omissions policies are not covering this style of loss for real estate agents, and I've not seen any covering of it under other errors and omissions policies for other professions. The exclusions that are most commonly noted are the simple unauthorized access to network exclusion. Your failure to secure that information is not covered by an E&O policy. It's covered under a cyber or a specifically endorsed policy. Additionally, even if there is an endorsement to your E&O policy granting an element of cyber cover, their definitions of computer system or computer network are very narrow, and their focus is really more on breach response versus the comprehensive privacy network security liability that a phishing scam would more entail. So short answer, E&O policies, we're not seeing it covered. We're not seeing phishing scams being covered under E&O. Crime policies. One would assume that this could be covered under there, and unfortunately, no. Most will not be covering the loss of, no crime policy will cover the loss of third-party funds. Crime policies address the loss of the insured's own money, not the loss of funds to another, the liability. And even if it was a transfer of funds which the insured is responsible for, crime policies have what's called a willful parting exclusion. They won't cover actions where or losses where the insured is complicit in or involved in the compromise which led to the loss of funds. So general liability policies, again, no. They have new unauthorized access exclusions, and they also have professional service exclusions, both of which can knock off the majority of these phishing style scams, specifically for professional service providers. So cyber policy, yes, granted with an asterisk, but cyber policies, most notably the Victor Schinner Cyber Liability Protection Package, we will cover these losses in a variety of different ways. So the network security liability coverage part, that is the responding to financial losses incurred by a third party as a result of your failure to secure your network or failure to secure their information. If that's a network security liability, our policy would respond to this. You do need to pay attention to the definitions of computer systems, definitions of data breach, definitions of personal information. Some lesser policies might be restrictive to the point where they wouldn't cover this style of loss. And our form also provides what's called cyber crime coverage. So if the insured is tricked into transferring their own funds, let's say somebody is purporting to be a property manager or a vendor with whom they conduct business, and they make a payment thinking it's to a known party, but it's actually a criminal party, that would be covered under our deceptive funds transfer cover or cyber crime cover. This is a unique cover that not many others provide. So preventing phishing scams. What can be done by you or your clients? The truth is the most valuable step is awareness. We actually did an in-house phishing test a little while back. It was actually pretty comical. They sent out a phishing email that was a falsified Apple invoice, and the click rate was pretty high. But nobody really knew what to expect. A lot of us had Apple accounts. They're like, wait a minute, what is this? A lot of folks clicked the link, which requested specific information about your username and account, and a lot of folks entered into that information. Following that event, we then made all employees aware that was what was being done as a phishing scam test. If you ever receive an email that you're questionable about, here's the resource where you can send such an email. So again, awareness really is the first step. Making people aware of this potential peril is the biggest step in prevention against falling victim. Another huge step that can be done is to set ground rules and expectations with clients up front regarding any funds transfer instructions. I say this to realtors specifically or lawyers, that when you first engage with a client, have them acknowledge that you will never send them a funds transfer instruction via email. It will be either via phone, or it will be coming from a title agency, and if you receive instructions, please call me to verify. That's your best protection of falling victim, because you have informed the client. These are the ground rules. If you receive such an email or such a directive, this is how you should respond. And you should always verify any change in vendor information. If anybody sends you a request for even just a simple change in fax number, call to verify that it's authentic. Always confirm electronic funds transfers. Don't call the email on the number on that email. Call the number you have on file for that targeted bank or that targeted client. Always verify. And then always be suspicious for any request for secrecy or pressure for expediency. If somebody writes you and saying, I need this done immediately, I'll call you later because I'm busy, question that. Watch your social media posts. Going back to that key word of being targeted, if you are targeted, if you're being watched and you're posting up photos that you're traveling at XYZ location, I can't wait to go off the grid, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks. You're just basically inviting opportunity for somebody who has been watching you to take action. So just be mindful of your public shares, let's put it that way. Implement a two-step verification or authentication for all funds transfer requests. And never have just one party being involved for authentication of all funds. And make sure there's somebody else that's a check and a balance on that process. I bolded caps and italicized and underlined this. Train all staff, not just people who are doing funds transfers, not just accounting, not just executives. Train everybody from the front desk to the corner office in being aware of the phishing scams and to know what to do if they receive such a scam. And then lastly, purchase cyber insurance. Even the smartest guy out there is going to fall victim to one of these scams. And the only thing you can do to fully protect yourself is a risk transfer solution like a cyber insurance policy. Some available resources. Our cyber protection package provides affirmative cybercrime cover for this exposure. It also grants a very broad grant of network security liability, key coverage elements for protection against falling victim. The insurance industry really is responding quickly to this new exposure, both in excluding the coverage and adding the cover. It's becoming zeroed into a peril that is best addressed and most commonly addressed via a cyber policy, via the new exclusions that many other lines of business are applying. So it's kind of interesting and fun to watch. Our insurance program provides a data breach coach hotline that can provide assistance and support 24/7. So if you've got if you have discovered or if you believe that you've fallen victim to such a scam, this is somebody that you can call and get immediate support and immediate answers. Because the truth is, nobody has the answers. This is the solution that every business, from the most sophisticated to your mom and pop shops, really can benefit from. And then we actually advise, and our breach coach has also advised, to create a point of contact for your team in event of a data breach, whether it be that your IT guy or your risk manager, your general counsel, or whatever it is internally. This is the person that you should funnel any discovery or concern to, so they can quickly respond and know where to go. The thing that prevents response is just simply not knowing what to do. And then lastly, have phone numbers available before time. Whether it's the phone number of your bank, you don't want to simply be calling a receptionist at a bank. You need to know who is your point of contact at a bank. So if you need to take some action, know what you can be ready to go, and also know your law enforcement, with whom to call if you need to. So I want to thank you all for your time real quick. I want to open the floor if there's any questions that anybody might have. It kind of went quick, but my goal is to try and get you back to your desk as quick as can. Let's see.
Jason, we did have one question so far that came in. It says, I am confused about the email phishing scam. Should I not even open suspicious emails? What if I have email that is set up so I can preview emails, which technically opens the email on my behalf?
Okay, most viruses are not within the email itself. The way you can trigger an executable or the software package within the virus, you actually have to launch an attachment or click a link or click a corrupted link. So by the mere action of opening an email, most inboxes have enough security and antiviral protection that a virus-laden email is not going to make it to your inbox. So if you open up an email and it's got a spreadsheet and it's asking you to update the specific information in a spreadsheet, and you click it and it asks you to update macros, don't update macros. That is a commonly exploited security vulnerability in Microsoft Office documents. If you receive a link to hey, check out this video, it's amazing, I can't believe Trump said this, question about whether or not you should be clicking that link. And if there's something that you want to see, maybe go to Google and search, cross-search. And don't click everything that you receive, even if it's from your buddy or somebody that you're used to receiving commentary from. But the truth is, it does require action to launch a virus or an executable. Does that answer your question? I hope.
We shall see. Yes, you got a response. Yes, it did. Another question, have you heard of any scams coming from LinkedIn? I have people asking to connect that I don't know, so don't know if I should actually connect with them.
Yeah, yes, just like LinkedIn, like Facebook, like anything else. View connection requests that you are unaware of, and if it's completely unrelated to what you do, with suspicion. Accessing and the ability to communicate on your behalf could be via a compromised LinkedIn network. Same thing with Facebook. Being able to communicate, post on your behalf, or share, or see what kind of sharing, what kind of commentary you're doing with friends and others that you're, if you will, more intimately relationed with. That's valuable to outside parties. So be wary of unsolicited or unknown requests. Plus, it could well have the link to connect. So if you authorize to connect, that could be a compromised link as well. So just be wary. I've seen some that come through that I've always been like, who is this? And I just decline them or I just delete them.
All right, another question. Do you have any thoughts on programs such as LastPass, which store a master password to store all passwords for other sites?
They're actually pretty good. It's remarkably secure. I'll show kind of in my age or my experience in the past. When I was a network admin or desktop support admin, it was crazy how I could find people's passwords. I could find it in people's photos. I could find it taped to the bottom of their keyboards. I found it under their mouse pads. I could even I could usually figure out from just looking at the calendar if they had. I would look through real quick for somebody's birthday, and I'd try birthdays. It was pretty easy to find. LastPass is pretty secure. I guess my point being is as soon as you write down a password, it's been compromised. LastPass is a pretty secure solution. It also provides a dual mode authentication, if you will, since it takes 2 steps to get into your LastPass or other password wallets. Those are a good mechanism of protection against outside entry.
Okay. Regarding diverted funds, do you know if they've ever been recovered, and are these criminals being caught and actually prosecuted?
Actual prosecution, I don't know for sure on that, but are funds being caught? Sometimes yes, oftentimes no. Depends on the time it was caught. Part of the original point of it being targeted, a lot of the real estate related compromises or funds transfer requests, they will specifically identify end of Friday or end of month dates. So the transfer might go through or the process will go through, and then you've got the weekend. Or they'll identify banking holidays and they target those specific weekends. All they need is just a little bit of time to transfer that funds out of that target bank, Once they're out of the target bank's hands, for lack of a term, it's gone. And it should be noted that banking regulations, if the bank receives instructions, whether they're fraudulent or not, if they receive instructions and they go to where they were instructed to send the funds, there is no liability on the bank's part. All the more they were doing was executing the directive that they were granted. So you're not going to get anything out of the bank. Anything that you get as far as clawback of funds is, for lack of a term, a customer service that they're providing to you. So they're going to try and cancel, rescind, or claw back the order. And if they can do it, great. If they can't, you better hope you have insurance.
All right, I know we're a little past, but I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple more questions. You mentioned use of social media and trends of what we look at. If we limit our profile access to our network, does that help to limit the information they can get?
Yes. If you've got only friends or other folks and you're posting, like I said, I'm going to Mexico, going off the grid 2 weeks. See you next. See you end of February. Granted, that's going to your specific network. But if somebody has targeted you specifically and they have compromised a friend of yours Facebook profile, they have become a friend of them and they can see your posts. You can't control everything. So that's why you just need to be wary of what you post, what you share, and how you share it. If it's something that you want to share to specific friends, then share it to only specific friends. Don't be posting something like that so broadly. It really can trigger action. We actually did have an A&E account that when the principal posted that he was in an airport in South America, that triggered an immediate action by the targeted individual. When they were watching for the opportunity to do it, they sprung into action immediately. They registered related domain addresses and were taking action literally within hours of discovery.
Okay, I'm going to try to fit in two more. If an agent uses their own personal email address, will the Schnurr cyber protection policy respond?
The response is, it depends. Yes, for the most part, we will cover the insured, and the insured covers the named insured, the employees, and independent contractors' obligation to protect and safekeep personal information of a third party. So if you're using jason.bucher@gmail.com, or whether I'm using jason.bucher@schnurr.com, if that was compromised in some way, shape, or form, I, as an insured, a Victor or Schnurr, if that were compromised causing a third-party harm, the cyber liability policy form should respond to that. Now, if you're kind of operating on the outside and you're doing something on the side, it's not as affirmative as if I was solely utilizing jason.bucher@schnurr.com, and it's a contracted service that is owned and operated by the named insured. That's a much more firm coverage, but it is not excluded, and it's addressed.
Okay, one more. Are there cyber policies that will cover ransom monies?
Yes, that's cyber extortion. So cyber extortion or ransom demands, which you're seeing everywhere. The cyber extortion coverage part can cover the payment of cyber extortion monies if it's necessary or expedient to ensure access to the network. But the mere payment of ransom isn't the full response. You do need to forensically analyze whether or not the virus has fully been exonerated from the system. You have to affirm that no confidential or personal information addressed by data law or regulation has been compromised or exposed. There's more to it than the mere payment of ransomware. But yes, that's covered under the policy under both cyber extortion coverage part and data breach team expense.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much. We are going to close there. If you have any further questions, you can see Jason's email address and phone number on the screen right there, so I'm sure he will be happy to talk to you a little bit more about this topic. So thank you all very much for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you.